In 1973, midway through an Elvis concert, the entire sound system exploded. 20,000 people plunged into silence. Elvis yelled without a microphone, "Can you hear me?" 20,000 voices roared back, "Yes!" What happened next became the most intimate concert in rock and roll history. This is the story of the night music didn't need technology. It was July 14, 1973, at the Los Angeles Forum. Elvis was in the middle of a sold-out show, performing Suspicious Minds with full band, full orchestra, full production. The sound was massive, powerful, filling every corner of the arena. Then, at exactly 9:47 p.m., there was a loud electrical pop. Sparks flew from the main soundboard, and suddenly, complete silence. Not the silence of a pause between songs. Complete, total, shocking silence. The band's instruments made no sound through the speakers. Elvis's microphone was dead. The 20,000-seat arena, moments ago filled with music and noise, went absolutely quiet. The band stopped playing, confused. Backup singers looked at each other, uncertain. The audience started murmuring, then talking louder, confusion spreading through the crowd. Elvis stood center stage holding a dead microphone as roadies frantically worked on the sound system. After about 30 seconds, the road manager appeared at the side of the stage, making a cutting motion across his throat. The system was dead, completely fried. No backup, no quick fix. This was supposed to be the moment where Elvis would apologize, promise to reschedule, walk off stage. That's what any reasonable performer would do when facing complete technical failure in front of 20,000 paying customers. But Elvis wasn't any performer, and this wasn't going to be any ordinary night. Elvis dropped the dead microphone, walked to the very front of the stage, and yelled at the top of his lungs, projecting his voice the old-fashioned way, the way singers did before electricity. "Can you hear me?" For a split second, silence. Then 20,000 voices roared back as one. "Yes!" Elvis grinned, that famous Elvis grin, but this time with something wild and free in it. The sound system just died. We got no amplification, no microphones, no nothing, just us and you. You folks paid good money to be here, so we're going to give you a show anyway. But it's going to be different, real different. The audience erupted in applause, not polite applause, wild, excited applause, because they realized something. They were about to witness something that hadn't happened in modern music history. A completely acoustic show in a 20,000-seat arena. Elvis Presley, unplugged by accident. Elvis turned to his band, spoke loudly so they could hear. Strip it down, just the acoustic instruments. Guitar, piano, simple percussion, nothing electric. We're going old school, Memphis 1954 style. The band quickly adjusted. Electric guitars put down, acoustic guitars picked up. The drummer kept just his snare and cymbal. No need for the full kit. The pianist stayed. The grand piano didn't need electricity. Backup singers moved to the front of the stage so the audience could hear them naturally. Elvis addressed the crowd again. "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to sing loud as I can. Old songs, new songs, whatever songs we can make work without power. But I need you to help. I need you to be quiet during the verses so everyone can hear. And I need you to sing with me on the choruses, loud, like your life depends on it. Can you do that?" "Yes," came the thunderous response. "All right then. Let's make some music the way it was meant to be made. No technology, no tricks, just souls connecting through sound." Elvis started with "Love Me Tender." No microphone, no amplification, just his voice, cutting through the arena, reaching every corner through sheer power and clarity. The acoustic guitar played softly behind him. The backup singers harmonized. The audience, all 20,000 of them, went completely silent. Not a cough, not a whisper, just listening, straining to hear every word, every note. When Elvis reached the chorus, he gestured for the audience to join in, and they did. 20,000 voices singing "Love Me Tender, Love Me Sweet," creating their own amplification, their own sound system. It was breathtaking, raw, honest. Nothing between Elvis and his audience except air and intention and the acoustic properties of the form's architecture. "That was beautiful," Elvis said after the song ended, still projecting his voice. "You know what this reminds me of? When I was a kid, we were too poor for anything fancy. We'd sit on the porch and sing, just voices, Just people sharing music because it felt good, no thought about technology or production or any of that, just the joy of making sound together. That's what this is. This is us being too poor for technology. And it's beautiful. He continued with gospel songs, How Great Thou Art, Peace in the Valley. Songs that worked without electricity, that had been sung for decades before anyone had microphones. Songs that were about the human voice connecting with the divine and with other humans. Between songs, Elvis talked to the audience more intimately than he ever had with working microphones. You know what's funny? I spent 20 years performing with bigger and bigger sound systems, more speakers, more power, more volume, trying to reach people. But right now, with no technology at all, I feel closer to you than I ever have. Because there's nothing between us, just air and music, and the fact that we're all here, breathing the same space, sharing this moment. The audience was transfixed. This wasn't a concert anymore. It was a communion, a revival, something sacred happening in real time. For 2 hours, Elvis performed acoustic. He did slow ballads where his voice could carry without strain. He did up-tempo songs where the audience clapped rhythm and sang along to fill the sound. He did gospel songs that turned the Forum into the world's largest church. At one point, Elvis sat at the edge of the stage, feet hanging over, and just talked to the audience like they were old friends. You know what I realized tonight? All the fancy equipment, all the technology we use, it's amazing, don't get me wrong. But sometimes it creates distance. It makes the performance perfect, but it makes it less human. Tonight, we don't have perfect. My voice is getting tired. The band is struggling to hear each other. You're straining to catch every word. But it's real. It's honest. It's what music was before it became a business. He continued. My mama used to say that music is just people talking to each other's souls. That's what this is. I'm talking to your souls. You're talking back to mine, and we're doing it the old-fashioned way, with breath and vibration and intention. Near the end of the concert, Elvis performed Can't Help Falling in Love. By now, his voice was hoarse from projecting for 2 hours. But that made it more beautiful somehow, more vulnerable, more real. When he reached the final chorus, he stopped singing and let the audience finish it. 20,000 voices, singing without accompaniment, filling the Forum with their collective sound. It was so powerful that grown men cried, so beautiful that people who'd been to hundreds of concerts said later it was the most moving musical moment of their lives. When the song ended, there was a moment of complete silence. Not the silence of technical failure that had started the evening, but the silence of awe, of people processing something profound. Then the applause began. Not the usual concert applause, standing ovation applause that went on for 15 minutes, people crying, people hugging strangers, people understanding they'd witnessed something that would never happen again. Elvis walked off stage exhausted, his voice nearly gone, but with a smile on his face that everyone backstage noticed. That was the most real thing I've done in years, he told Joe Esposito. No tricks, no technology, just connection. The sound system failure became legendary. Bootleg recordings of that night, captured by audience members with portable recorders, tinny and distant but still powerful, became some of the most treasured Elvis recordings in existence. Music critics who'd been dismissing Elvis as a nostalgia act, a Vegas performer going through motions, changed their tune after that night. Elvis Presley proved at the Forum that he doesn't need microphones or amplifiers to be the king, one wrote. He proved that his power comes from something technology can't create or destroy, raw, honest, human connection through voice. The incident influenced other artists. MTV Unplugged, which began in the 1990s and featured famous musicians performing acoustic sets, cited Elvis's Forum performance as inspiration. Elvis proved that sometimes less is more, said the show's creator, that stripping away technology can reveal the artist more clearly than all the production in the world. The story also became important in discussions about authenticity in music. The Forum incident showed us what real means, noted music historian Dr. Sarah Chen. It's not about perfection. It's not about massive sound. It's about a human being communicating emotion to other human beings through the most basic instrument, the voice. Everything else is just enhancement. Fans who were there that night never forgot it. "I've seen Elvis 30 times," one wrote years later, "but the night the sound system died was the night I actually heard him, really heard him, not Elvis the performer, Elvis the person, sharing his voice and soul with us because that's all he had to give." The forum itself commemorated the incident. A plaque near the stage reads, "On July 14, 1973, when technology failed, humanity succeeded. Elvis Presley performed for 20,000 people without amplification, proving that music needs nothing but voice and heart." Elvis himself referenced that night frequently in his remaining years. "That was the concert that reminded me why I started," he'd say. "Not for the lights or the sound systems or the production, for the connection, for the moment when one person's voice reaches another person's soul." In his final interview before his death in 1977, Elvis was asked about his proudest professional moment. He talked about the forum, the night everything broke and nothing mattered except music and people. "That's when I remembered what I was supposed to be doing all along, not performing for people, performing with people, sharing sound, making connection, being human together." Today, audio engineers and concert promoters study the forum incident as an example of how to handle technical disasters, but they also study it as a reminder. Technology serves music. Music doesn't serve technology. Elvis proved that when he stood on that stage with nothing but his voice and sang anyway. The bootleg recordings of that night are still passed between serious Elvis fans and musicians. The audio quality is terrible, recorded from audience microphones tinny and distant, but you can hear everything that matters: Elvis's raw voice, the audience singing, the acoustic instruments, the human connection that no amount of technology could create or destroy. Listen to the forum tapes, music teachers tell students. Listen to what music is when you strip everything away. That's what you're trying to learn, not how to use technology, how to connect, how to make your voice matter, how to turn sound into communion. The night the sound system died became the night music lived. The night technology failed became the night humanity succeeded. The night Elvis couldn't use microphones became the night he was heard most clearly. 20,000 people in an arena, one man with a voice, 2 hours of acoustic music in a space built for amplification, and a reminder that what matters most in music has nothing to do with watts or speakers or systems. What matters is breath, intention, connection, the human desire to share emotion through sound, the universal need to not be alone, to be part of something larger, to feel that our voices, literally and metaphorically, matter. Elvis gave 20,000 people that gift the night the forum went silent, and in doing so, he reminded all of us what music really is, not the technology that amplifies it, but the humanity that creates it, not the perfect sound, but the honest connection, not the performance, but the sharing. "Can you hear me?" Elvis yelled when the system died. "Yes," 20,000 voices answered, and they did hear him more clearly than ever, because nothing stood between the message and the recipients, just air and intention and the acoustic properties of human voices carrying emotion across space. That's music. That's always been music. That's what music will always be. Technology or no technology. The forum proved it. Elvis proved it, and we should never forget it. If this story of technical failure, human triumph, and music's true nature moved you, subscribe and share it. When did you experience something real breaking through the artificial? Let us know in the comments. Hit that notification bell for more true stories about the moments when humanity shines through technology.